the world. You can like Duke. Look at the eye level here.
We do.
Look at the faces he's
Elevation,
melting
baby.
in the background.
Hand level, above the
We'll
box.
do it all with these faces. Yates, Adande, Page, Plaschke. My four are on the floor. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Rock's at the door.
You see that LeBron dunk, J.A.?
MCA's in the back.
Lakers 126, Blazers 117. An around the horn record for most times asking just one game or something more for one team in a 3-week span. Lakers get to 8-6. LeBron passing Wilt, 44, 10, and 9 in the game. Passing Wilt, 5th all-time now in scoring. Bill Plaschke, was last night a breakthrough? Was last night a statement? Or was last night an eye-opening breakthrough of a statement for this Lakers team?
It was all of that, Tony. L.A., we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for LeBron to take control. We've been waiting for LeBron to play defense. Did you see his block on Nick Stauskas, and then he went down and did the 360? We've been waiting for him to empower the other players. We waited for him to be LeBron, and he was LeBron. 66 to 98 points when he was on the floor. He was involved in. He took over. He lifted the team with him. They played great defense. They outscored the Blazers in the paint. Plus, we've been waiting to see some of the history that LeBron brings with him. He passed Wilt Chamberlain. I bet he ends up passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar while he plays for the Lakers. It's huge. It was a huge night, a huge statement night.
All right, now that we got the man from Los Angeles out with the self-promotion, Woody Page, how about you?
I thought it was a breakthrough, and really you had to wait a little bit more, Bill, because he didn't really start doing that. I was watching the game till about the second quarter. It was as if he woke up and said, I'm going to take over this team, I'm going to take over this town, I'm going to take over this franchise. And that's exactly when he broke out. And really, if you look around, he was using JaVale McGee, and people laughed about him for years. Ingram got into it. I thought that this Lakers team was just something that we thought about before the year, those of us who felt like they were going to be in the playoffs. And I think other Western Conference teams are going, do we really want to take on this team? I mean, they got a winning record. They are favored, Tony, in their next 5 games. They could be in double digits in a week.
Yeah, no. And it was the Blazers they beat last night. Look at the standings right now. The Blazers are the 2 seed in the West. J.A. Adane, what did you see from LeBron specifically last night?
A reminder, that's all it was. It wasn't a breakout, it wasn't a statement. It was simply a reminder that he can still do this when he chooses to. The question is, how often will he want to? How often will he need to? He can't exert this type of effort throughout the course of the season and have anything left for the playoffs. But it showed they're in great shape for the playoffs, though. The track that they needed to be on is basically play 500 ball against the West and then really destroy the teams from the East when they play them. They're 7-5 against the Western Conference team right now.
But hold on a second. Wait, look at the standings right now, Jay. The top 4 of the East versus the top 4 in the West. I think the East might be better than the West, at least in those first 3 spots. Take the Warriors out of it.
Yeah, but he's going to get to play a lot of games against some of the bottom teams of the East, and he's got to make hay against them the way he did last year in Cleveland.
So the question of whether he can keep this up, have you looked at his minutes recently? I mean, his minutes are as high as they've been in 7 years.
And have you seen his first half play? Like, there was a turnover when he didn't even enter the picture going back on defense the other way. So he's saving it up.
Come on.
Listen to Adane there.
Good night.
Clinton Yates, how about you?
All over LeBron.
To me, it was a statement because the breakthrough actually happened when Tyson Chandler blocked that shot, and LeBron finally believed that he had some confidence in this team beyond just himself. The reason why I'm a little reticent here to sort of crown the Lakers is because if LeBron has to get to near triple-double numbers in order for them to beat playoff teams, that's going to be an issue. That said, though, I do like the way they played. The rest of the West is having problems. The Jazz we've seen have issues. We've seen the Spurs take steps back. I like the way the Lakers are positioned, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be super sustainable going forward.
There is a that said deduction, though, for Clinton Yates, so we'll take care of that right here. Having said that, Bill Plaschke, come forward for a second. Lakers better than you thought they'd be at this point in the season right now?
Absolutely. I thought they'd be a 6 seed. I think they're a top 3 seed at this point. If they play the way they're playing with LeBron there, I think they're a top 3 seed. With the Tyson Chandler changed everything defensively. JaVale McGee is playing out of his mind. He's empowering everybody. Yes, they're a top 3 seed now.
All right, top 3 seed. I guess everybody is fine with that. Woody Page, Jay Adane, Clinton Yates.
Yeah.
Not any chance, Bill. You're too far in the palm trees to see the ocean. You don't. Top 3 seed, not a chance
great
of that.
metaphor.
But it's going to be a solid playoff team.
Okay, real quick, since Plaschke brought us there, we'll go around the horn on this. The idea that LeBron can set the all-time scoring record. He passed Wilt last night. Wilt's 5th all-time. Now LeBron is 5th all-time. Do you see that where this is going, Adande, as the all-time scoring mark in NBA history?
He could. I still think eventually it will go to Kevin Durant, who scores easier, it seems like. You know, LeBron, is he going to want to put in the work, and is he going to remain a scorer all the way through the regular season?
What are you doing here, Adande? You're questioning LeBron's work ethic. You're questioning him getting back on defense.
It's not his work ethic. It's when he decides to use it, which he should.
Come back home,
he should be concerned. He's played in 8 straight finals. He should be
Everything you're saying applies to every single player. Are they going to actually hang around long enough to set the record? You don't agree with that?
Not every player has been to 8 straight finals.
You're true on that. We'll move on. Warriors-Rockets tonight. And an around the horn record for most times asking just one game or something more in consecutive stories. Warriors after Durant and Draymond and the Draymond suspension. And no Curry, but he's going to be making the trip. Not set to play for 5 more games, so I guess, what is he, a hallway monitor? The Rockets, if you put Melo to the side right now, just as they did, they're 6-9 since they went up 3-2 on Golden State, and Paul hurt his hamstring in the conference finals. J.A., I'll start with you here. Durant and Green walked into morning shoot-around today together, forever, and never to pass. Curry is making this road trip. What does it all tell you?
It shows the significance again. They realize this is not just another, kerfuffle between teammates. Curry does not always travel when he's injured. Last year, he sprained his ankle during a road trip. He came home. So it's not necessarily a medical necessity for him to be with the team. I think this is about an opportunity for him to assert his leadership. Now, he's created the culture. He sets the tone for the Warriors, but he hasn't necessarily been the leader. He hasn't been the voice to speak up when things go wrong. I think this would be a timely moment for him to assert himself, to remind everyone of the greater picture, the sacrifices that he has made in time, including taking a little step back to allow for Kevin Durant, and remind people that they need to work together to make this happen.
Interesting. So you're not saying it's a medical necessity that he travels with the team. You're saying it's an emotional necessity that he travels with the team. Clinton Yates, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly correct, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We've talked about how many different buttons the Warriors have pressed as an organization. This is as good a thing to try as anything else as far as I'm concerned. But as for that photograph, I mean, sure, Chris might have said they were communicating positively. For me, the fact that they were communicating at all, I mean, you saw the body language there is important. Listen, they're talking. I know that the optics, as you all like to say, are not necessarily the best, but if they weren't talking at any point, I would have a much bigger issue with this if I was a Warriors fan, but they at least
What are you talking about, Clinton? We don't like to say that word. That's why you're getting muted. Flashkey, how about you?
No, I think you're making too big a deal of this. I can't imagine him, and if they're taking him on the road for emotional reasons, taking him away from the home, the training staff at home, all the facilities at home for this. I don't think Curry has that big of a voice on that team. I mean, I think the voice is Draymond's, and it's Draymond versus Durant. I don't see how Curry can really play the peacemaker. I don't know. I think they're overreacting to this. I think this will blow over. I think the players can handle it as adults. I think bringing Curry there is going way overboard.
Speaking of handling it like adults, Woody Page, please go ahead.
Green and Durant had not talked, so this is an encouraging sign that they're at least walking side by side. They're on the same bus. I think now Curry needs to go back to San Francisco and work on his groin injury. I mean, really, is it a good idea for him to be walking around and going into arenas? I don't think so, but they brought him in to be Henry Kissinger and try and get both sides together, and it must have worked somewhere on an airplane or something, but I think that it'll blow over. They've had differences in the past on that team, and they've always managed to come together when it's necessary.
Let's talk about the Rockets. That's a team that needs to come together at some point, you would imagine, J.A. Adande. What is tonight's game for them?
Not that significant. I mean, even if they win, they didn't beat a Stephen Curry-led Warriors team. It's not panic time for the Rockets. They're gradually improving. They've only allowed 100 points once in their past 6 games. They're right in the pack with teams like San Antonio and Utah and Minnesota, teams that we expected to be contending for playoff spots as well. They're right there with them. So if you're going to ask what's wrong with the Rockets, you have to ask
Clinton
what's wrong with all
Yates
those
does
guys.
not look like he agrees with you right now. Gobsmacked might be the word.
It's not panic time?
Yeah.
It's not panic time? They gave up 2 of their most critical players to bring Carmelo Anthony, who's completely blowing up the entire situation, which we knew was going to happen because he had a terrible relationship from D'Antoni dating back to New York. This is absolutely a bigger game for me, for the Rockets, than it is for the Warriors. They've got some internal, locker room issues that they can figure out. The Rockets have no idea who they are at this point, and that's got to determine tonight.
Flash.
No, it's a huge game for the Rockets. They need this positive reinforcement. They've won 5 of their last 7 games. This is a good chance to let them see that maybe they are coming out of their early season coma.
And Page.
And they've improved their offensive efficiency by 4 percentage points. But more importantly, that they're really defending well in the paint. And I think that's made a difference that they've decided to play defense since they lost that one guy, Carmelo. They've turned it around.
Okay, we'll see how defending in the paint works against the Warriors, who might shoot 53s today. You never know. We'll move on. Thursday night football, Packers-Seahawks. Look at the standings right now. In a matchup that's basically an elimination game, that's given us the Hail Mary and that playoff game that Aaron Rodgers said he'd never forget. Do you guys remember the playoff game he'd never forget? I don't know if I remember it, but Seattle came back and won it late. Woody, answer this. Which team do you have more confidence in tonight?
The Packers. I actually am surprised that Aaron Rodgers hadn't come out and said, we're going to run the table. They do have an opportunity. They've got the Bears and the Vikings. You look at the standings, I look at the schedule, Tony, and they've got the Bears and the Vikings ahead. Those are the two tough teams that they've got to face down the stretch. If they were to win tonight, and I think whoever wins this game is going to be a wild card in the playoffs, and the other team's going to be out of the playoffs. Seattle has a little bit easier schedule. They got the 49ers twice. I think the way that the Packers, if they continue to run the football, they're averaging 5.2 per rush, which is number one in the league. And Aaron Jones, the other Aaron, is doing a great job at 6.2 yards per carry.
Donde.
Woody, you're right in that it's equally important for both teams. So given the distribution of desperation, you could say, I'm going to go with the home team. The Packers are 0-4 on the road, and they're a road team now playing on a Thursday night. Road teams are 2-8 on Thursday nights this season.
Clint Yates?
Yeah, and the Packers are desperate. The McCarthy situation, his job could be in question. So as a result, I think the Seahawks are a little bit more staid now. And their fans actually think, even coming off the loss, if you look at fan polls, they are more confident in this team for some reason that I don't understand. But I trust that smart fans in this league.
Here's a stat for you, Tony. Russell Wilson's never lost 3 consecutive games as a starting quarterback. They will not lose tonight. They lead the league in rushing. Packers are 29th in allowing yards per carry. Seahawks.
Yeah, Woody, you were talking about the Packers running game. The Seahawks running game has been vastly improved. 300-yard rushing.
Best in the league,
Wilson's
Woody.
been running.
Yeah, they've gone back to the zone read.
I was on local radio on ESPN, 710 Seattle with Brock and Salk this week, and they were telling me that this is the number 1 matchup and the number 2 matchup of passers all time. Do you believe that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson might be the best rivalry that football has right now? It's interesting. We're taking a break right here. Plasky, Page, notice that? Through the fact that they lost to the Magic by blowing a 16-point lead, letting up a 21-0 run. At the same time that was happening, by the way, Andrew Wiggins was doing this. And the T-Wolves went to 2-0 post-Butler. Curiouser and curiouser. Bill Plaschke, what was your first impression of the Butler Sixers?
Tony, look at the big picture here. I know they got beat, but Butler had a lot more spacing. He had a lot more open looks. J.J. Redick had open looks. They played well together when they're on the floor. Butler doesn't even know the plays yet. Give them time to know the plays, learn the offense. They're going to be really good.
Page?
They're exceptional. Yes, we saw signs of how positive it can be last night, even though Jimmy Butler didn't know the plays, and everything on that offense runs through Embiid, so he's got to realize he's the second alternative. But to me, in the second half of the season, this is going to be the team to beat in the Eastern Conference.
Wow, strong. Exceptional loss to the Magic. That's what I'm hearing. Adonde, you agree with that?
Yeah, they lost the game, but they did get the 16-point lead in the first place, so that does speak to promise. Even though they had a limited playbook and limited offense because they had to accommodate Jimmy Butler. They had one player where it went Butler to Embiid to Simmons. I think that's indicative of how this can work when they really
I'm picking up what you guys are putting down. This is just surprising to me that it's all bright and shiny, even with a loss, with a 21-0 run. Clinton Yates by herself Philly last night.
It's not about it being bright and shiny. It's about the fact that everything didn't completely implode, and they managed to do some things with their lineup that figured out a couple things. They actually played a lineup with Butler, Fultz, Simmons, and Redick as well. So they're going to have to find a way to make all that work, and I think they did a pretty good job of it with Fultz getting 20 minutes last night.
Can't wait for you guys to allow 21 straight points to Woody, and you all get eliminated from Showdown. That'll be great. We'll move on.
Tony, you're overruled.
Buy or sell 2. It appears Duke is better than Eastern Michigan. 14 dunks last night. 6 for Zion, who's shooting 82% from the field. Had one dunk last night where his eyes had to be at rim level. They were. I mean, Woody, buy or sell this statement. The greatest trick Zion ever pulled was making Duke likable.
I'm going to buy that. My thought after watching the game last night is, are we all guilty of premature infatuation with the Dukies?
Okay.
No, this is a game you can't turn away from. And you look at a team over the years that has transferred its emphasis from the three-pointer to now the dunks, and they're so good in transition. Yes.
Okay. Maybe they transferred it from the three to the dunk, or maybe it was just Eastern Michigan last night. Woody, you tap danced with the premature infatuation, but you nailed it. And honestly, that's never happened before. Adonde, how about you?
Look, it's never the Duke players that have been unlikable, for at least those in the media who have to deal with them.
Seriously,
Ask
Jay?
anyone who's covered Duke graduates in the NBA. They're very easy to get along with, very helpful. So that's not the issue. This team in particular, it was the fans that were the issue. But this team, these players are extremely likable and fun to watch.
Wow. Grayson Allen, Christian Laettner. I mean, the list goes on and on after that. Clinton Yates, please.
Grant Hill, Elton
Absolutely,
Brand,
but
Corey Maggette.
they're likable because Coach K finally decided to embrace what the one-and-done lifestyle was going to bring, and Zion himself is an actual star. When you listen to the kid talk, it's about more than just the dunks. He's a fun kid. He's there for the right reasons. I really, really like watching this team play. They're must-see TV.
Bill Plaschke.
Watching these laughing, joking, jumping guys, it's amazing. I didn't notice Coach K. I didn't notice the fans. All the things about Duke that people don't like disappeared, and you just become these great young players who are having a blast. They're very likable, Tony.
We'll move on. Buy or sell three, a story that has made me a liar. I said yesterday Le'Veon Bell, the story we did on Bell, was going to be the last story we were going to do this year. The answer now is nope. Roll tape, please.
Appreciate the cleats, my guy, man. You know what I'm saying? But I hope you're the best, man. Wish you success, my guy. But appreciate the cleats, man. I'm taking all off and on, bro. What's love?
Steelers linebacker Bud Dupree thanking Le'Veon Bell for cleats. Other players went for a suit, mixtape CDs, the nameplate on the locker. Jay, is that fair or foul?
Foul, Tony. Extremely foul. They didn't just take cleats. They took his Air Jordan 11 Concord Low cleats. You don't take another man's Air Jordans.
What that is.
Most foul.
Clinton Yates.
I mean, he gets them for free, so that's not a big deal. But I don't understand why the Steelers
They get
ever
theirs
let
for
their
free,
players
too.
get into this position. This guy hasn't been on the roster the entire season. Why does he have a locker in the room that is even available for this? And the organization made their guys look bad.
Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, I thought it looked terrible. The guys looked like vultures over a carcass. I know they're having fun, but it just looked like they were pilfering this guy. It looked like the locker room's in chaos. Bad look for the Steelers.
Woody Page.
It was classless. The equipment manager should have wrapped it all up once he didn't report and either send it to him or donate it to charity or give it to his old high school so that they'd have something to remember it by.
Something to remember Adonde and Yates by today? I don't know. Maybe you could take that loss the Sixers had yesterday, which was so positive,
mess with
and
the Jays.
take something from that. I gotta say, Plaschke and Page, this might be the all-time matchup in Showdown. It's gotta be Page and Khaled
Don't mention age.
or Plaschke and Page, but we'll find out who wins this installment next. To you both in Showdown. Number one, losing by 50 to the Mavericks. That's what the Jazz did last night. Who and what does that tell you more about, Bill?
It tells you the Jazz may be a little bit too willing to rest on their laurels. This was not a back-to-back. This was not a particularly tough game. There is no reason a Quinn Snyder coach team has ever lost like this. I can't even understand it.
Bill, an NBA coach told me many years ago, there's 7 nights a year when you're going to show up and play like crap. That's what we saw out of the Jazz last night. Nothing to take from that game.
Who said that, Woody? That's a great line. It also applies to some of the performances
Bob
I've seen
Bass.
on this show before. We'll move on. Showdown 2, Cody Parkey. He of the 4 doinks last week made a 35-minute ride out to Soldier Field last night for a little practice. A local news chopper was overhead documenting it. We can't show that video because the Bears are saying, per rule, that's practice and it can't be filmed. Who's making the most out of this, Woody? Parkey, the Bears, or that local news chopper?
Well, the Bears, what in the world? Why won't you let a helicopter? Why can't we show it on the program? So since we can't, I've got a depiction of it here. Here's the kicker. There's the helicopter. And that's what happened last night.
Woody, it's Cody Parkey doesn't need to prove this to anybody. He didn't need to come out, and he's making a bigger deal out than he has to be. It's the wind will change on Sunday anyway.
Yeah. Seriously, though, I mean,
don't have a chalkboard.
the
I got
film
no
of
shot.
a field goal kicker practice. Oh, he's going back 3 and then to the side, too. I didn't see that one coming. Woody Page, you earned this one today. 30 seconds of face time.
Woodies are in the news all over the world. In London, as the ceremonial starter for the World Chess Championships my friend Woody Harrelson actually reached over and accidentally tipped over the king. If you know anything about chess, when you tip over the king, that means you're surrendering and the other player's going to get the victory. But in this case, everybody went, it's okay. They put the king back, continued the match, and it was a grand day. And Woody Harrelson, don't get close to a chess board.
You come at the king, you best not miss. Right, Woody? Are all Woody's friends? Do they all know each other? Is that a rule of Woody's? That's good.